Hey everyone, today we are going to look at the Weber Searwood XL600. I am going to give you my first impressions. We're going to set it up, do the first initial burn-in. I'm going to do my first cook on it, and then I will tell you what I think about it. I'm Dave, this is Dave's House of Barbecue. Welcome home. So I bought this Weber Searwood XL600 from my local Ace hardware store. They assembled it and delivered it for me, which was great. If you have an Ace near you, I suggest you shop there. There's a smaller version as well, just called the 600, which has a little bit less square inch for a cooking space. I bought it for $1,199, and with tax and everything, it came to just under $1,300. So if you're going to compare it to other cookers, it's kind of like in the mid-range of the Traegers. Yoders and stuff like that are much more expensive. It's kind of like, you know, in the middle range of cookers. So we're going to see how it stacks up compared to those here in a minute. Let's talk some basic information about this pellet grill. The bottom grate has a cooking surface of about 630 square inches. And there's also a shelf you can add in here, a top shelf, and that has a cooking surface of about 342 square inches. It's a grand total of 972 inches of cooking space. That's a lot of space. That's kind of almost comparable to like a Yoder YS640. That's like just over 1,000 square inches. This is only a little bit off. The hopper can hold up to 20 pounds of pellets at one time. I actually tested that. I bought a bag of Weber, 20-pound bag of Weber pellets, and I poured it in there, and it will fit. Just pour it in slowly, because when it gets towards the top, it gets really tight, and if you're splashing them around, they'll fall in the cracks and everything, and you'll have to clean it up. But it will fit in there just fine. Temperature range on this smoker ranges from 180 degrees all the way up to 600. And some of the cooking features at 180 degrees, that down low, that's called their smoke boost mode, where it puts out a lot more smoke. You can run that at the beginning of a cook to maybe increase your smoke ring, get a little bit more smoke flavor into whatever it is you're cooking. And then at that high end, at that 600 degrees, they have something called direct flame cooking. One of the cool things about their direct flame feature on this is it's the entire grate, the entire surface is usable as like a searing area. A lot of smokers, they just have like a little vent you open and you can cook above it. It goes all the way around, and you'll see when we dig deeper into it, the way they split up the flame and kind of in a V shape, so it covers the entire grate. It's really cool. There also are several options you can get for this. You can buy a rotisserie for it. You can buy a pizza stone. You can buy a wok if you get the grate system that allows you to snap in different pieces. And there's also a griddle that you can buy to put on here as well. Now let's start going through the setup of this. This is a Wi-Fi enabled smoker, so it connects to your home Wi-Fi. And when you first go to start up the smoker, it's going to ask you to download the Weber app. Download it. It'll connect via Bluetooth to your phone, really easy actually. You can see here I started it, it said add a grill, asked me what grill, Searwood. I put it in, then it asked me to add the Wi-Fi name and password, which I did, connected, really easy. And then it checks for software updates. And once it downloads software updates onto your phone and then updates the grill, you're ready to do the initial burn-in. Now, why do you do an initial burn-in? Well, this comes from a factory. People's hands have been all over it, or machine grease or whatever. There's oils and things on the metal surfaces. You probably don't want them on your food. So what they suggest you do for the first burn-in is you turn the temperature of the grill up into 145 degrees and do a 30-minute cook. So I turned it to 450 degrees and waited for it to get up to temperature. Weber says it gets up to temperature within 15 minutes, and sure enough, it got to 450 degrees within like 14 minutes and 30 seconds, so they were true to their word. And once it got up to 450 degrees, I just let it run for 30 minutes, and then I shut it down and let it cool off a little bit. Once it was cooled off, I took off the diffuser plate and everything, and I just kind of scraped out any like pellet dust or anything that was in there, just to kind of clean it out before I did my first initial cook. And before we put these beef ribs on, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell as well, so you get notifications every time I make a new video. So for my first initial cooking here, I'm going to do some beef ribs, or like plate ribs. Super simple. I just coat them with a little bit of Burtman's mustard. That's a Cleveland thing. And I just put a mixture of pretty much equal parts salt and coarse ground pepper. And then I always just toss in a little bit of garlic powder in there just for something. Coat all sides, make sure you get all the ends of the bones, everything. I'm going to be cooking them today at 250 degrees. So I set up my smoker to 250 degrees. Once it was up to temperature, I put the beef ribs on and I'm going to let them cook. Once they reach an internal temperature of like between 170, 185, somewhere in that range, I like to wrap them up in butcher paper, and then I put them back on the grill and let them sit until they reach a temperature of about 203 degrees. So now that I've got this thing up and running, I got some cooking on there. Let me tell you some of the things I like about it so far. First of all, I like the surface area. There's a lot of space in there to cook. You could probably squeeze, a couple briskets on there. You could do a lot of racks of ribs. Like I said, it's 17.5 inches deep. So if you cut them, you could stack them. If you had a rack, you could probably get even more. You could really feed a crowd with this thing. So that's one of the first things I really like. Another thing I like, and this is a total minor thing, but for a guy like me, I find it awesome. The upper rack. That's great. I don't use it all the time, but when I'm not using it, on the back of the grill, there's two little tabs that you can hang that upper grate off of to store it. It's great because you can put the cover over it and you don't have to put it on the ground or lean it up against the house or drop it on your deck or wherever the heck you're going to keep it. It's a little thing, but I really love it because it just makes it that much neater and cleaner, and you have a place to store your upper grate. Another thing I like is it has two wireless probe ports on there. They look like this when they come. The grill only comes with one of these, so if you want a second one, you have to, go out and buy it off their website or Amazon or something. But these monitor the internal temperature of the meat, and it also displays in the app, which is great. And you can change the done temperature. So if you want to cook something to 165, you put that in as your set point on the app, and it'll give you notifications when it gets there. Or if you want to do 203 or 205 or whatever, you can do that and it'll tell you when everything's done, which is really cool. You don't want to use these as internal temperatures. You don't want to use these as ambient temperatures for the grill, which is another thing I really like about this. The probe that's inside there that measures the ambient temperature of the cooker, it's right above grill grate level. Like the grill grate's here, it's about an inch above it, which is perfect because that's exactly where your meat's going to be sitting. My old pellet smoker had the temperature probe kind of built up into the top, so it was always like a 20 or 30 degree difference between the grill grate area and what the top was. And it just was annoying because you never actually knew what the temperature of your grill was. So the placement of it is perfect, which obviously Weber was listening when they designed this thing. Now this grill is a replacement for an earlier pellet smoker that Weber came out with called the Smokefire. There was two versions or two iterations of that came out. And it had some issues, which is why they scrapped the design and came out with this one. One of the issues with the Smokefire was the pellet hopper would develop these like empty cavities where the pellets wouldn't fall in anymore. I think they call it like bridging or something like that. So all of a sudden your smoker temperature would just plummet. You'd have to go in there and move the pellets around to get it working again. And they also were prone to grease fires, which is bad. You don't want fires in your pellet smoker. Which brings me to the next thing I love about this, how easy the clean out is. At the very bottom of this grill, there's a porcelain coated trough. Weber does everything in this enamel porcelain coating. And all the grease, all the pellet smoke, all the pellet dust, every fragments all fall down into that. And then it gets channeled into a disposable Weber tinfoil pan, which you can just throw out and replace with another one. Super easy. You just kind of scrape everything down into there, and then you funnel that into the Weber pan, and you are good to go. Really, really easy to use, and cleanup on this thing is like foolproof. It's really, really great. Another thing I love is on the front control screen, there's a meter that tells you how many pellets are left in your hopper. There's a little window inside the hopper bin that kind of senses the level and tells you as your level is going down. Really, really cool. You can keep track just by taking a glance at it, how many pellets you have left, so you know how long they're going to last. It tends to go pretty slow on pellets too. It doesn't burn through them super quick. It's not an insulated grill, but there is like a second sheet of metal inside there that may help as like a little buffer to keep the temperatures good. So it seemed to go through pellets at a pretty slow rate, which I like. Speaking of pellets, you have the option to clean out the pellet hopper. There's this little red tab on the side of the pellet hopper, and you pull that, opens the trap door, and you can drain whatever's in there into a bucket and switch to a different pellet. So let's say you were doing like a brisket and you had oak pellets in there, and then you were gonna do a ham the next day and you wanted to put apple wood pellets in there or something like that. You can swap them out, put them in a bucket, save them for later. Really easy to clean out and really convenient for cooking. Third thing I like is all the cooking options. So you've got the smoke boost mode, where if you want to add extra smoke, it'll put it at a lower temperature for a while and then boost up to your actual cooking temperature. That's really cool. They also have this lid open cooking method. It's manual mode. Basically, it's like for grilling burgers and steaks and stuff. You leave the lid open and you can set it from an intensity of 1 through 10, 10 being the hottest, to get whatever temperature you desire. It's really great. I haven't tried it yet, but I have turned it on, and it really does keep the entire surface like ripping hot. So if you're looking to sear off a bunch of steaks or like cook a burger or anything that needs high heat like that, that's really cool. And then the last thing that I really love about this grill is the app. Weber's a big company, so they have money to spend on like engineers and like user interface designers and things like that. This thing is designed like flawlessly. It works great, it looks great, and it's Wi-Fi, so it connects all the way throughout my house. Anywhere I'm in that I can get Wi-Fi in my house, front yard, backyard, garage, whatever, I can have connectivity to this. But the cool thing is, and I'm going to test this out, it's supposed to be able to connect like via 5G or via your phone's cell phone signal as well if you're out running errands or something. So I actually have some errands to run today while I'm cooking these beef ribs. I'm going to go and see if it actually can tell me the temperatures from 10 miles away. I'm out running some errands right now, and it's about it is 12:51. You can see it on my watch right there. I'm going to switch over to the app and show you that over 5G you can connect to it just fine from your house. So you can see here that if I look at the app and I move the slider all the way to the end, it says 12:51 right there. So look at that. I'm still in the stall, by the way, although it's starting to inch up a little bit. So you can see here the beef ribs came out great. Cut them open. There's a nice little smoke ring. I'd be curious to see if I use the smoke boost mode, how much more smoke I could get. Maybe next time I make beef ribs, I'll test that out. But they came out really great. I cooked them until they got to 203 degrees. Cool thing was, I wasn't home when they got to 203 degrees. I was actually at work. So via the app, I turned the temperature of the smoker down to 200, kind of keep it in warming mode, and just kind of let them coast until I was able to get home and put them in a cooler. And it worked perfectly. I came home, everything was set to 200, and I was like 15 miles away from my house, which was awesome. They were a really good job cooking. I mean, this thing, for the amount of features you get on it, it's really worth the price. Now I know $1,100 is not cheap, or almost actually $1,200 is not cheap. But if you compare it to smokers with similar features, some of the Traegers out there are, $2-3 grand. If you're looking at like one of those Yoders, those can be, I don't even remember how much they are, but they're expensive. So for the price, I mean, you're getting the most bang for your buck out of this smoker. Plus, it's got that Weber enameled porcelain coating, which is essentially bulletproof. I've got 3 other Weber grills over there, and I've had them for as long as 12 years, and they work as good as the day I got them, and I've never replaced a single part on them. So I think this thing is awesome, and I can't wait to do more cooks on it. As always, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to me and hit the little bell for notifications, so every time I make a video, you get an alert. Also, follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook. Just search for Dave's House of Barbecue. It should come up. And leave a comment down below. If you got any comments, I'd be more than happy to answer them, or any questions about the grill, I'd be more than happy to answer them. If you leave any negative comments, I'll probably just delete them, but positive ones, I try to respond to them in a timely manner. Make sure you check back often, though. I've got a lot of new videos coming out soon. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.